Welcome to the Do Life in a Body You Love podcast. I'm Nikki O'Day, and we are going to talk about any and every topic that will get you showing up bigger and bolder in your life. Weight loss, relationships, mindset, it's all on the table. It may not come out real PC, but if you're sick of motivational rah-rah talks that don't lead to any real change in your life, then you're in the right place. Let's jump into today's episode. What's up, Do Life in a Body You Love chicks? I have an amazing guest here for you. I said that last week I was going to stop singing the intro because it sounds like cats dying, but here I am still singing, and I have the beautiful Charlotte here with me, and she is going to just blow your guys' mind. So Charlotte, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I'm so happy to be here. And I think you should continue the sing song. I think that
you do. Okay.
Yes. 1,000%.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so you guys can blame that one on Charlotte. So
you don't like her voice, sort of tough, right?
Yeah. Then tune out. Then tune out. We don't care. Yeah. Charlotte, why don't you start off by telling everybody, like, who are you? What do you do? What do you help chicks with?
Yeah.
Why did I actually hired Charlotte, just so you all know, to work with some of my clients for me because she's got a very awesome skill set. So tell them what you do, girl.
Yeah, sure. So just to give them a little background, I was in the corporate world for a long time, like 30 years. And I was in the fertility and genetics world. So in sales and managing teams and all that. And but along the way, and just to back up, I was a pretty high level gymnast and also went to college on a full scholarship. So there was just, I started this whole curiosity of how to up my game physically, mentally, and spiritually at a very young age because I wanted to be a better gymnast, really. And then when I was in the corporate world, sort of the same thing. I wanted to be better at selling, and also just, I always battled with a lot of anxiety and like just obsessive worrying, and I need a ton of sleep to feel normal. So like energy is something that I'm always trying to figure out ways to up my energy, and sort of just motivation. Like I wake up really flat and a little foggy and not all there, but I'm this is a long-winded answer, but
no, I love it. Give it all to us.
Through the corporate world, I was always studying modalities of mind, body, and spirit. My first thing I got certified in was feng shui, or in the early 2000s, and then did a Reiki certification. So like energy of the home and energy of the body. And then I discovered Kundalini yoga and loved it so much, and it helped me so much through when I went through a really hard time when my kids were very little and got divorced. And it carried me through that and the death of my sister in 2010. And it just carried me through so much stuff. And in the mid 2000, I was in these different jobs, and I literally kept getting fired, literally. And I was and at the same time I was studying these modalities, and I was also feeling like the corporate world felt so soul-sucking to me, and some of the BS didn't feel I didn't feel like it was right in my heart when I was like working for people that were telling me to micromanage my people, or certain things that they wanted us to do that just didn't feel right to me. And so I think, looking back, like I had all this shame over getting fired from jobs, but I think looking back, the corporate world was like, get out. We don't want you here. We need you in this like mind, body, spirit world, helping people like find their A game, because we're going through such chaotic times, and there's so much stress in the world right now. People don't have the tools. So all those things. And then when the pandemic hit, I really upped my game. Or let me just backtrack. I started to drink a lot at some point, and it amped up to a point of where it got unhealthy. And I made a decision to just stop. Basically, I didn't go to AA. I read everything I could on the science of drinking alcohol and how bad it was for you. I went on to an app that was super supportive for me, and I just read everything I could, and I journaled a lot about it. Like if someone read my journal back in the first 5 months when I stopped drinking, they'd be like, I'm so sick of hearing you talk about not drinking. But
so time out, because did this all go down in the middle of the pandemic? Is that when like the drinking thing was playing out for you?
It was
or before?
Literally like 5 months before.
Oh, okay.
And I was still in the corporate world. But it was right before the pandemic hit.
And so what's interesting about that to me, sorry to interrupt you, but
no, it's fine.
So many people have experienced issues with alcohol since COVID. And like I fully believe that like God just kicks us out of where he don't want us to lead us where we're supposed to go, just like what you just said. And how interesting that like you experienced this and like 5 months later, a large chunk of the world did. Like people who never had any sort of like issues with alcohol in heavy amounts. And you're like equipped to help people with that now because you've experienced it. I think that's so amazing.
Absolutely. And that same year I became an empty nester. I have 2 boys that are now 21 and 26, but I became an empty nester at the same time as I went back to the nest and moved in with my 89-year-old mother, who is in pretty good shape. She's 92 now, but she needed help with lots of little things, and she still does. But I was just, when I moved in with her, it was mentally really hard to be in my childhood bedroom with my adult furniture and like the house I grew up in, and brought back a lot of things. And she was just like, are you in a mood? And I was just like, oh my God, like I felt teenage rage. And like, this was before I stopped drinking. So I think my drinking amped up because I had gone through this crazy transition of like being in, not having kids anymore, but then like being with my mother again. It was a lot.
That would be weird. I'm just trying to picture, like, for you listeners, put yourself in this spot. If I had to go live in my teenage bedroom, I'm such a different human than I was back then. And like, it would be so weird. All the weird memories that would come up and surface. And like, would I start like being angsty and listening to Nine Inch Nails again? I don't know, but maybe.
Yeah. So when the pandemic hit, literally that Friday the 13th on 2020, I got laid off, let go of my job, and I actually felt so relieved. And it gave me like a breather and a reset button. And and it was easier for me to not drink without, like, I was a really bad social drinker, like where I had no off switch. So I started, one of the things that, I wanted to talk about today was the Wim Hof method. And everyone during the pandemic was watching Netflix around the clock, mostly drinking wine and watching Netflix. But I was, had my tea or whatever, kombucha or whatever I had. But I found this episode on the Goop Lab. It's Gwyneth Paltrow's. She's a company, and she interviews people that have made a real difference and impact in the world. And one of the people she interviewed, and I didn't even know who he was Wim Hof. And he was telling her about this method that he does where he teaches this powerful breath work with cold exposure. So getting into very cold water, either ice baths, cold showers, which everyone's like, ew, even swimming like in cold water during the winter, that kind of thing. And he brought her people, like, and all these people that he brought, it was not a lot, but it was like 6 people from her company, all guinea pigs, saying, I want to try this with him.
Awesome.
Brought him to this like retreat for a weekend in Lake Tahoe, and he taught them the breath work, and he got them into the cold, taught them how to breathe through the cold and relax their body, and got them into this different mindset. But these people were all struggling with like anxiety and panic attacks and autoimmune diseases and all kinds of different mental and physical things. And they were doing like snoga. They were doing like yoga in the snow, and they all got into Lake Tahoe, which was like 40 degrees, after training a little bit about what to do, how to get into the cold, and the breath work, got their bodies changed. It changes your biochemistry and adjusts, like you release all kinds of adrenaline and endorphins and all kinds of good stuff. But I watched this and was literally like, I have to do this. Like, there was just not even a question. And it was May of 2020, and I got onto my computer, and this is like, I don't have a job, I shouldn't be spending money, but I was like, I have to do this. And I signed up for the fundamentals course, and it was a 10-week course where I learned all the techniques. And it just changed. It changed, like, all the different tools up to now had done so much to help me, but this was like nothing I'd ever experienced as far as being able to wake up. I start the breath work, I finish that, I stretch a little bit, I do like a mantra, and I get right into a 3-minute cold shower with like crazy blasting ice baby music,
Oh my gosh. I'm like having a panic attack right now. I do cold showers sometimes, and I hate them so much. They're so good for you. But like, you're talking about snow yoga, and I'm just like, oh, I hate everything about this. But it's like, I'm so excited to hear your experience with it, because I fully believe there's something to this. Like,
yeah, well, and the thing is, the breath work preps your body, so you're releasing like natural painkillers while you're doing the breath work, and you're releasing adrenaline. And then when you get into the shower, I teach people how to breathe into the water, and so it's way less painful than if you just go in and you're like gasping, like that's
what I do.
That's what we teach, is like to go in and you do like inhale and like a long, like double exhale, which gets you into your parasympathetic nervous system, which gets you into a relaxed state, even though it is a shock to your body, but there's so many amazing benefits. So the net of the story is I get out of bed, I get into the shower, I get out, and I'm like, whew, and I am motivated and focused, and I have no fear around anything. I have no anxiety. And I just am excited to start my day versus like the way I used to start my day, where I'd be like giving myself mental pep talks and sitting on the couch with coffee, watching TV, and trying to like get going with my computer and my emails. And it's a whole different game now for me. Like I enjoy getting up and doing this, and I don't start my day anxious or unmotivated anymore. So
that's so wild and amazing. So It takes you 3 minutes to do this, or how long does the whole thing take?
The whole thing, and I do stretching too, because I'm big on stretching. So the breath work, it takes me, depends on how long I have before I have to go to work or do something, but the whole thing takes about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the showers, the 3 minutes. Gotcha. Okay.
But the thing is, you're still lying in bed while you're doing the breath work. So it's like, when you press the snooze button and you're so excited to have another 8 minutes or whatever it is, this is like, you got a full 45 minutes where you're doing breath work that's getting you into like a relaxed, incredible state, and you're seeing cool colors, and like, it's just.
I feel like you're going to have to teach me this someday. Not right now on the podcast, but I feel like someday you're going to have to teach me this. I need to experiment with this.
Yeah. So from there, I was like, I want to become an instructor on this. And so I signed up for the Wim Hof instructor course, and I can go back to that, which I just graduated and went to the master module in Poland this past June. I'm like, this is like the certification I'm more proud of than anything I've ever done in my entire life. Like, so I'm officially a Wim Hof instructor. I just got the chills.
That's awesome.
Really excited about like starting workshops and retreats and stuff like that. But I did want to backtrack, and hopefully other people that are watching this are ADD like me, since I'm like all over the place here.
Yeah, I think all of my listeners are just like you and I, so it should be totally fine.
Good. You were talking about my sobriety, which I like to refer to more as like being alcohol free. But I did I met someone at one of my yoga retreats who also had just gotten sober, and we became fast friends. And this was in 2000 and the end of 2020, and we were so much on the same page with how we had become alcohol free, or how we become sober, that we decided we wanted to. And like you said, so many people were just amping up their drinking so much during the pandemic, and there were so many of these like jokes and text threads about drinking extraordinary amounts. And for me, I was just like, it triggered some stuff for me. I was like, all right, this is getting annoying. Like, people are out of control, and alcohol is ethanol, which is poison. It's so bad for our bodies. Like, drinking 1 is okay, but when you go to 2 and 3, you're putting yourself into like a fight or flight. Your body's releasing cortisol, the stress hormone, and that's part of why you feel so anxious and shitty the next day. Besides,
anxiety will get you, man. Anxiety is real.
So my friend Mary Stewart and I launched something called, in the beginning of 2021, we launched the Sober Adventure on Facebook. It was a paid group. We had so many people, like, which I thought like 35, 40 people join. It was a private group, and we led them through 40 days alcohol free. They didn't all, some of them fell off, and we just kept cheering them on. We became this really tight group, and we gave them different things every single day. Like, Monday was mindfulness Monday, where I would do like breath work or a meditation or something to help them get out of their head. And then we did like TripAdvisor Tuesday, because it was like the sober adventure. Like, we wanted it to be an adventure. So we would do science lessons on alcohol, and we had yoga classes on the weekends, and I did stuff on sleep and feng shui, changing the energy in your house, like clearing clutter, and I talked to them about the Wim Hof method and all the different tools that I had and that Mary Stewart had. We combined together and had this program that was really helped a lot of people develop this massive awareness around their drinking habits. And we had
time out for 1 sec.
Yeah.
I'm just going to wait for whatever that background noise is to fade, because I don't know how to edit it out.
I'm going to close the window.
Okay.
I'm going to close both windows.
Okay.
Better?
Yes.
Better?
Sorry. I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but I was like, I know they're not going to be able to hear what she's saying.
So
you guys combined efforts. Yeah,
we combined efforts. We, people would check in every day and say what day they were on, like of the, like, I'm on day 21. I'm feeling really good today. I'm proud of myself because I had a trigger last night and wanted to have a drink, but I went for a walk and listened to my favorite music and was able to get through it, or whatever it was. But everyone would just check in every day to tell you how they were feeling, whether it was good or bad or mediocre, and we would just cheer each other on. And by the end, like, it was just this group that we formed. We got really close, and a lot of people, not a lot, but a handful of people have continued to stay sober from that. And I didn't expect people to, but the people that didn't stay sober, a lot of them now just have one, when they go out. And so it really created some awareness around drinking, and half the group continued on for 80 days. So
nice.
So that was one of the most exciting things I've ever led or done, and that was during the pandemic. So it was a really great thing to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Very cool.
So I think and now in September of last year, I got hired to be a flexologist, because I wanted to do something that was outside the home, where I was where I was at least doing something in the mind body world. And so I'm doing assisted stretching on people, which is also incredibly gratifying. It's the least amount of money I've ever made in my life for a job, but it's the most satisfying thing to have someone like lie on your table and to stretch them out and to help them feel either better or help them up their performance. And you also become sort of this like therapist. It's almost like, I'm able to give them some of my tips and tools that I have learned over the years, and also help them with their bodies while they're on the bench or the table with me. And it's really so gratifying.
Yeah, I feel like if they're coming to you to get stretched, they're like getting way more, like they're getting a great deal, right? Because you like also have all these other skill sets. And I know that you're just like dropping all these gold nuggets for them while you're stretching them. So
Yeah, for sure. Like last night I had someone that was quite overweight. He's a golfer, and I could tell he was literally mouth breathing. And I talked to him about how what mouth breathing does to you, and how breathing to start trying to breathe through his nose so that he stays in a relaxed state throughout the day and the night. And then just one side of his body was way more inflexible than the other. And, you know, he golfs right-handed. So of course, like one hip is going to be way more open, but it's super interesting to get to know every single person. They all have a story about their bodies and their own lives, and just to let that unfold. And they're so open on the table. And I feel like if I have a coaching business, I may just start with having people come to me privately, and I'm going to stretch them and get to know them while I'm stretching them. Because it seems like it's one of those things where, like, when you go get your hair done and you just start talking to them about everything.
yes.
Same thing.
Awesome. I love it. That's the kickoff into your coaching program. And then
Right.
they can get to work with all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And so before we started recording, you were telling me a little bit about how like you feel the best right now in your body that you've like ever felt. Do you want to like kind of share with listeners what you were saying to me? Because I loved it.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned in the beginning that I was a pretty serious high-level gymnast. So, you know, as of like 8th grade, I was training 3 hours a day, 3.5 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Oh, my Lanta.
Through my senior year in high school, and then ended up at James Madison on a full scholarship. So I also was very small. I was a late bloomer, so I was really tiny in 8th grade, and then I grew really tall. Like I'm 5'6" now. But there was so much pressure for all of us, and we were all so obsessed as a team, my gymnastics team that I trained with, to be really thin. And I remember our coach at some point like putting his hand around this would be so like he'd be thrown, not in jail, but he'd be in trouble. He put his hand around each of our thighs one night to see if he could close his hands around. And it was that kind of shit that went down in the gym. So I would write down almost every little thing I ate, and I'd weigh myself a lot. I wouldn't say that I had any kind of eating disorder. I actually tried to make myself throw up, and I couldn't do it. So I didn't.
You're like, definitely not going to be bulimia.
That is not going to happen. I wasn't like, and so when I went to college, I wanted to study nutrition to help people with that, but I failed like 4 credits of chemistry my freshman year. So I was like, this is not going to work. I do not understand chemistry at all. But so eating was a huge thing for me throughout a lot of my life. And then when I got married and had kids, I gained a lot of weight. Like I was 25 pounds heavier than I am now. And I think I told people I was divorced, but this was like before we got divorced. I think I was unhappy, and I think that when we have weight on our bodies, it is a form of clutter. And also, I think I was eating to sort of protect myself or numb myself from the unhappiness that I had in my life right then. I had 2 little kids who were great and two easy guys, but when they would eat a ravioli, I'd eat a ravioli. When they'd have a chicken finger, I'd have a chicken finger. I wasn't one of those mothers now that like everything was organic. I was feeding them like the crappy, easy food to make.
20 and 26 years ago, it wasn't a thing.
It wasn't.
I raised my kids on like processed food, and I look back and go,
right?
Why didn't anybody tell me any better? But like it wasn't a thing then.
And my ex-husband, and he was trying to be nice. He's like, honey, I just want you to be healthy. Like he wasn't saying like, I want you to be thin. He was just like, I just want you to be healthy. And he would find like wrappers of Wendy's burgers and empty Frosties. And, I was eating crap. And at 39, I was like, that is enough. Like, and I'm 58 now. I was like, that is enough. I can't look like this anymore. I was like, as I said, think I was a size 12 and 25 pounds heavier than I am now. Didn't feel good about myself at all. And I went on something called, which, I don't recommend any diet, and I don't think you do, but it was a very clean way of eating.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started eating super clean and eliminated I eliminated all processed food, basically. It was more work, but I was diligent about it. And I ate like really healthy carbs and lots of vegetables. And I do and still do eat animal protein. And there was like a straight cranberry juice sort of cocktail that you drank all day to keep your body flushing stuff out. I don't know if any of this is, but I lost the weight within like 3 to 6 months. And because I had always exercised or just even walked a lot or whatever it was, when I lost the weight, the body that I remembered was underneath it. And it was just really nice to, I don't know, I just remember going in to see my accounts that I called on, like in the fertility world. And people were like, oh my God, because I look really different when I'm heavier. Like my face is like a different face. Like I get, like from here to here, I have that apple, whatever, and my face gets. But since I did this way of eating, and if I went up 5 pounds, I would always go back to that, and I still go back to that. I know kind of what I need to do every day to maintain the weight. I've maintained my weight since I was 40, and I'm 58. And
okay, that's when it's working, chicks, when it stays off.
And I know, like, I had to work on those tools to eat really clean. I'm not going to say that I don't have, because I don't drink, I have a little dessert every night, which I think is fine. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't have like 3 scoops of ice cream. I'll have a scoop of ice cream, or, like a fun sized peppermint patty or 2 or whatever, or a little bit of chocolate. But where was I going with this? But I do yoga, and I do a lot of like stuff with my own body, like push-ups, and I walk a lot, but now I stretch body. So that's a lot of physicalness, but I don't go to like a CrossFit gym or, do crazy ass running or anything like that. Like I do more like low impact stuff that I can, and I stretch a lot, which I think is so important to keep our bodies aging gracefully, and us being able to like tie our shoes when we're 70, or get off the floor when we have grandkids. But so I'm in a place now where it's funny, I like did a Facebook or Instagram pose where I was like in this yoga pose, and I had a bikini on, and I just like struck this pose, and I looked at the picture and I was like, I'm so happy with my body right now. Like it's not something I worry. I mean, I worry about my health and my wellness and all of it, but eating and nutrition and the way my body looks is no longer an issue for me, or something that I obsess over. I know how to do it, if that makes sense.
It's just like how you do life now.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm still working on like some like energy stuff and sleeping better, and like those things are still things I haven't completely conquered. But I want to tell your listeners that they can have a rockin' body at almost 60 years or 70 years. I think that we all have that capability to have, be in great shape. And a lot of it, I think, is just because I do these other things that keep me in balance, so that my metabolism is in balance, and my hormones are in balance, and my nervous system is balanced, and I sleep as much as I can, literally. Like I sleep as much, like if I can sleep 10 hours a night, I will sleep 10 hours a night, because I think it's
so jealous. I wish I could.
Yeah, we're finding now that it is like the most important thing to restore our health and to stay healthy and live long. And so, yeah.
100%. I preach it incessantly. I talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I do sleep challenges in my Facebook group. I'm always like, hey, you want to know the secret to losing weight that's free and you really like to do it, but I bet you don't do it?
Yeah.
And people are like, think it's going to be like eating broccoli or something. And
Right.
I'm like, go to bed.
Yeah.
Like Rob Wolf is always like, sleep as much as you can without getting fired or divorced. And I was like, yes, I love that.
Exactly. And
It's everything. It balances out everything in your body. And like one thing, so the women who I'm coaching who are, their focus is on weight loss and we're doing it in healthy ways. So that's the trick, ladies. If any of you hire me for weight loss, you're just going to get healthy. But when they're struggling with like willpower and self-control, and I'm like, well, how much are you sleeping? Because when you're sleep deprived, you're like a drunk person. Like you have no impulse control. You're just tired. You're just like, feed me chicken nuggets, whatever. So it's like all the things. You got to go to bed.
And I think scientifically our prefrontal cortex, and this is something we talk about a lot in the Sober Adventure, when people had triggers to drink, when you start drinking, your prefrontal cortex, your decision-making skills go out the window. So I think that part of our brain gets affected when we don't have enough sleep, so that we're not making good decisions. The other thing is, I know you probably tell people this, triggers, whether it's alcohol or food or gambling or whatever it is, they are 20 minutes. If you can do something else for 20 minutes, you got this. Like you got it. Just get away from the kitchen, go do something else, go stand on the grass outside, earthing and getting like with your bare feet, be in nature, walk, jump around the kitchen, get out of the kitchen, dance, whatever it is, call a friend who you can tell anything to, all of that stuff, anything you can do for 20 minutes. And I think that most of the time it'll go away.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So I have like a 10-minute timeout. I did not know that there was like, it's 20 minutes. I didn't know the science on that. So I'm changing it, ladies. If you follow my 10-minute rule, make it 20.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that.
But we can do anything else for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You can do anything else for 20 minutes. Like just do something else. Just don't raid the fridge. And you'll be so happy you did it. For
sure. Yeah. I love that. But it's like so freeing for you, right? To like not like health is always a journey. It's never done. There's always a new goal. There's always a new level you can take things or a way that you can focus. But when weight is no longer the thing that haunts you, that's just very freeing. It's freeing that I really can do a lot. 10 years ago, I had a really bad knee injury and surgery 10 years ago, and I managed to figure it out over the last 10 years, but I also just didn't have the energy that I have now. If someone said to me 10 years ago, you're going to be stretching people all day, like 4 days a week, I'd have been like, you're batshit crazy. Like literally, there's no way. I can't even stand for more than 5 minutes without like this chronic knee pain, and I'm too tired to do all of that because I was drinking a lot and all of that. But anyway, so the fact that I can do so much more with my body physically is so freeing. But I also want to say that I don't think people have to do massive, crazy, intense exercise. And I think that they're finding more research with people that are doing big marathon or ultra athletes, or even like some of the CrossFitters that moderate intense exercise, not intense, but moderately. You say that moderate. More like zone 2 cardio and some moderate movement. Yeah. It's not that aggressive, which I personally enjoy the shit out of aggressive. However, it is not the best way to go. And my body's fried from doing it. Honestly, I gained weight when I trained for my marathon. I eventually burnt out doing CrossFit, and I'm not knocking it. Like if you guys love your CrossFit, do it. But like, if we're talking about like longevity and health and weight loss, those aggressive measures, especially for women who are like in our age demographics, right? It can be too much for your nervous system. I just read this in, I think it was The Oxygen Advantage, a really good book. And
a lot about your breath and breathing through your nose and some other things that are good to get you back in balance. But one of the things that they touched on, and it's all science-based, is that these people that are doing really intense exercises, their bodies, it takes so much energy to recover that it's not really good for us to do intense exercise on like all the time. Mm-hmm. So and that the research is saying like moderate, and look, if you want to push yourself and go to a CrossFit gym and all that, just give yourself the time to recover. So if you're sore and that stuff, go for a nice walk, or do a stretch or a yoga class or something if you need that, because people need it mentally. Some people need mentally really hardcore exercise every day, I think. Mm-hmm.
So. I didn't need it daily. Now it has been taken away from me. Like my health coach, right. By the way, ladies, I'm a health coach who has a health coach. I practice what I preach, okay?
We all need our coaches.
Everybody needs a coach. I'm convinced. Nobody should be doing life without multiple coaches in multiple areas of life. I hire coaches for everything. Right. So my coach is like, nope, you're done with that. And he just has me doing like mobility work right now because my nervous system is fried.
Yeah.
Because when I went and did that, I know I keep blaming Texas for everything, you guys, but seriously, that contract, that nursing contract, working night shift 72 hours a week and having to eat from a restaurant every day, it was too much for my old lady body to handle. And so I'm still like recovering from that. I miss my intense workouts, but like where I think I really fried myself was when I was doing CrossFit and training for a marathon. And I was like, I knew it was a bad idea. I knew the science behind it, but I was like, yeah, but I wanna. So
yeah.
Wish I wouldn't have.
I know. I stretch.
If you're gonna do aggressive stuff, listen to your body at least and know when to back off.
For sure.
Where I wasn't practicing what I preach.
Yeah, I stretch a lot of people that do, young people that do CrossFit or they're training for some big things, and they're so tight and they're so young. And I'm like, please just keep coming back here and keep stretching on your own, because I want those people to stay injury free and to be able to, live gracefully into their 70s and 80s and all of that without being so sore and hurting and yeah.
And like, what's the goal, right? So like when I did all of that wacky stuff, it was because I wanted to push myself. I wanted to see if I could, kind of thing. But like, if the goal is simply to get in shape, that is not the path.
Right.
If you are like an athlete, you're like an athletically driven person and you want to push yourself, and this doesn't actually have to do with your health, but it's more of like it's a challenge for you, and you're gaining something different from it, and you understand what it's doing to your body. I do bad things for my body all the time. I try to balance it out with good things, right? So It's like picking and choosing, but understand that path is not necessarily the best way to approach health. It has its own benefits, but they're not actually health. You could just go for a walk and do some yoga, or even do weights, but just keep it like reasonable. You don't need to jump around on a box in your garage in the heat when it's 110 degrees outside like I do, and then want to vomit. Yeah. Like, probably not the best way to go.
Especially if you're chasing 3 kids and have a full-time job, which I think a lot of your audience, or look, almost all women, not all women, but a majority of women are raising kids and working at the same time. It's a lot.
So why am I doing the same thing that this 25-year-old guy? So right. A whole lot of differences there hormonally, and also where we're at in life. And also he has no kids and like works at a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
And so this fits him maybe.
Yeah.
But like, I'm over here just like trying to be an in-shape mom and doing the same thing that this kid on Instagram's doing or whatever. It's like, what's the goal? Assess why you're doing something, and then pick the best path and listen to your body and see if it feels right.
Yeah, exactly. Agree.
Yeah.
Our body just wants to get back to homeostasis and balance. That's its job every day, all night.
Mm-hmm. And it does a better job than we give it credit for. I mean, most of us have really beat the shit out of our bodies over the years, and they're still kicking. So give your body some love, girls. Give your body some love and start to play nice with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. You're just such a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
Yeah. So well, first of all, before I ask you that, let me back up. Is there any other like aha things that you just feel like these chicks need to know? I mean, you covered plenty.
Yeah. I know. I hope
So,
I didn't
but if
overwhelm
there's, oh no, it wasn't too much at all. But like if there's like something else that you were like, ooh, these chicks need to know this, lay it on us.
The only other thing that I'm really an advocate for that not that many people know about is called earthing. Do you know what that is?
I do. Please talk about it.
Okay, so earthing is literally, we are like batteries, right? And we get sitting in front of our computers and on our phones and with the electricity around us and being inside and all that stuff, we're really disconnected from the earth. And, years ago, we had shoes that you could get the earth's energy through, or people had bare feet. And so we're not connecting with the earth enough. And what it does when you put your feet on the grass or the sand, or even like a pool, like in the pool where you have cement you've got pipes underneath, and even in a bathtub where there's pipes underneath, you're also earthing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's why sometimes I think you feel calmer. Part of it is like being in the water, but part of it is also that you're earthing yourself. So being outside in fresh air with your feet or your hands or whatever or your butt on the ground is super healthy. It's the earth's energy. Basically, it drains all it drains all that crap out of us, and it decreases inflammation. They can't even, when they try to measure it on people, like they can't even measure how fast the inflammation decreases when you put your feet on the ground, and they have a device to show the inflammation decreasing. That's crazy to me. So
yeah,
like 10 or 20 minutes a day of being barefoot outside is going to do some massive like benefits for your body to decrease inflammation and to put ourselves in that parasympathetic relaxation state. It's always why you feel better when you're walking, when you have a beach day, right? When you go to the beach. And if you want, I'm sitting right now on an earthing. Don't ask me to explain it because it'll be too.
Well, I was going to ask you if these mats work or if that's all BS.
So I am sitting on an earthing mat. You see this?
Yep.
And it's plugged into the wall, which is plugged into, it's grounded basically. So I'm grounded right now to the earth. And I sleep on a mat too, because it's better for us to be grounded all day. And you can find earthing information you can Google Clint Obar, O-B-E-R. He has something called, I think it's earthing.com. And there's pillows, there's mattress pads, there's mats for your desk. They now have shoes, literally. And
earthing shoes.
Yeah. Or little, what are they called? Like where you stick on something that hurts, like you could put it on the back of your neck, and patches. They have patches for pain. So I'm a big advocate of earthing because we have so much inflammation in our body that needs to be drained. And so I sit in the sun every morning after I do the shower and all the other stuff. I take my coffee and sit in my beach chair now that it's warm, and I put my feet on the grass, and I'm still, and I just watch what's going on around me and just sort of connect.
You have like the best morning routine, which, by the way, ironically, that's what we're working on in my Facebook group this week. Yeah. I do like these mini challenges. That's just like, let's just do like one little thing that we can work on. And that's my free group, not my paid client group. And so this week was all about like, what's your morning routine? Do something. I don't care if it's 3 minutes that's not looking at your phone, but like you have like the mother load of morning routines.
I got it down, girl. It took me
amazing.
58 years to get it down, but I have it down now, and I love starting my day now too. And I look forward when I'm doing the breath work in bed, even though I'm lying in bed and it feels good, I'm still thinking about that coffee outside. I'm like, oh, I can't wait.
Well, so my health coach took my first cup of coffee away, and I'm big sad about it. But he was right, and I feel better, and blah, blah, blah. Right. He's such a jerk. But I would love to just do the wake up breathing thing, because now that I don't have to go to work, now that I'm my own business owner and I can actually do more in the mornings, like I've had a morning routine for 6 years. I mean, even when I was working, it was get up, grab my cup of coffee, grab my Bible, snuggle my dog, sit and read. I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm doing my things. Then I would go to work.
Right.
I got to tell you, I'm more of a slacker with my morning routine now that I don't have a boss, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're on all the time, right? So now I've forced myself back into my morning routine, and I'm trying to add getting outside.
Yeah.
First thing, cup of coffee or not, walk around, move my body, get the sunlight. I want that sunlight right away for my circadian rhythm. Yes.
That's one other quick point on this is being outside first thing in the morning or whenever you wake up. You're going to adjust your circadian rhythm so you're better off. And going out at dusk too is helpful as well when the sun is getting lower in the sky to sleep better. But also know, guys, that if you travel and you're in a different time zone, when you get off that plane, the first chance you get to take your shoes off and stand in the grass, you will adjust to the time zone faster. So I think that's so cool. I love that.
Travel chicks. Did you hear this? I know I got some chicks in my audience who are like living that Devil Wears Prada corporate life, and they're on planes all the time.
Yes.
So get outside and ground. What have you noticed since you started like using your grounding mat and focusing more on that and sleeping on a grounding mat?
Just sleeping. I mean, I kind of did all of it within the same time frame of giving up drinking in the Wim Hof. So I feel like it's hard to say.
Sure.
But I will say that when I am like, when my shoulders up to my ears and I have 4 or 5 problems that are in my head and I can't figure out how to solve them, or, I just take my shoes off and walk outside, even if it's winter, to get outside. And whenever I know that, again, like 20 minutes, even 10, 20 minutes outside, if you can earth, if you can't, that's fine. But that calms me down so much. So
I love that. Yeah. No, I like crave getting outside now.
Yeah. So do I.
Right now I'm like, I need to be outside. And my neighbors think I'm crazy because my grass is better in the front yard, because we used to have a big pine tree in the backyard and the grass is just not soft and like whatever. So I just walk around in the front yard with my shoes off, or just like sit in the front yard. I live in a small like subdivision. So people are like, what is she doing? While she's out there, she should do some yard work. And I'm like, no, I'm just grounding. Don't mind me.
Her shoes, right?
What?
They're like, I'll walk around our neighborhood with my mom with no shoes on, and people are like, what is she like? Oh, like they look at you, they're like, don't you want to wear shoes? Or like, isn't that not safe, or whatever it is?
They're really looking at us like, are you schizophrenic? Like, you're not dressing appropriately. I'm like, no, this is intentional. Leave me alone. Dirty feet all summer.
Yeah.
Love it.
I get my nails done and I put on stuff that sort of matches my skin color, because I'm like, because my feet, I wash my feet every night, but they still, like, it's hard to keep them totally perfect. So.
Yeah. I don't even care. I'm just like that barefoot, dirty hippie, and I'm good with it.
I feel like we should just I like the name Hippie Light. We're kind of like Hippie Light, because we're not full on hippie,
No, I don't have armpit hair. Well, I mean, I do in the winter because it's not shaving season, but my poor husband.
Right.
Ay. Well, I have like enjoyed this conversation so much, and I could talk to you for just like 1 million years, but I know that my listeners are eating this up and they probably want to follow you. So like, where can they get more of Charlotte?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. So it's Shaw Pendleton, at Shaw Pendleton. And then Facebook, it's a long name, Charlotte Dempsey Pendleton.
Listeners, I'll put that in the show notes for you if you want to follow Charlotte and get some more good tips. Do you still run your alcohol-free Facebook group, or was that like a thing that's done?
It's a thing that's done, but I've thought about doing more of them, like a sober October, because I think people really loved it, and got so much out of it. So I would consider doing it again.
Okay. If you chicks want that, then you better send her a message and tell her so that she'll do it.
Yeah. I'm also happy to do some private coaching on like building your toolbox too.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
Well, I can tell you ladies that she's a wealth of knowledge and super amazing, and you should definitely follow her. And thank you so much for being on this episode with me.
Thanks so much, Nikki. This was so much fun.
Good. I'm glad you had fun.
I did. I had fun. All right.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for tuning in. It is my mission to give women back the confidence that they need to show up bigger in their lives. Right now, the world more than ever needs women who are on fire and living their purpose. If you want to join me in this mission, there's a few things you can do. 1, you can share this podcast with the women in your circle. 2, you can join me in my Facebook group, Simplified Fat Loss, or you can subscribe to my newsletter at nikkioday.com.